There's a lot of people in the room who have been victims themselves. There's a lot of people who are suffering right now. So they need to know that there are people out there who care. There are people out there who will refer them and will talk to them and be there for them. So I don't want to say too much because each person is going to get in detail, but I wanted to welcome you, and I want you to get clapped for each one of you for just stepping in the room today. My name is Kimberly Cherish Fisher, and I am actually a minister and a staff member on the agency, and I'm also an author that writes about such issues as depression, abuse, such issues as being victimized, being an abuser yourself, and also someone who's experienced tragic loss. So that's one of the key things that I want you to know about me.
My part right now is reintroducing Soldiers for Christ Resource and Referral Agency. We've been very active in the city, and so let me get to some key things that we've done already. We have history with the city. We had begun having some events to make a stand against gun violence in the city before it even had gotten to the point that it is now. We had these events up at the up near
Rodney Square.
Right, Rodney Square. Okay, we had a couple of events there, and not just only here, but we have been active over in New Jersey, in Millville, New Jersey, because of the gun violence being so, it was ever increasing. It was an ever increasing problem, and it has become that here as well. We've helped people, and the Resource and Referral Agency actually is a seed out of what is called the Soldiers for Christ Mission Center. And at one point, it was part of what was being offered in the Mission Center. But it became so needed and so sought after that there was is a bank, a referral bank as we refer to it, where we have connected with various groups and facilities.
We have resources for, and we've done this several times. A lot of people don't have anywhere to live, and so we will put them with a specific program. And this program not only shelters the family, but they also will train them so that they can work and watch their children while they're training. So these are the type of things that we've done. We've also done career development, so we're helping people to prepare and to know how to do a resume and to know what to wear to a job interview, helping people to learn how to read. And just like he said, he's done a lot with re-entry and also people who are struggling with addictions. And I love the fact that he brought up that there are more than just drug addiction. There's so many addictions. For those of you who've read my book, you know that for me, it was alcohol and it was sex. But there's so many different addictions out there. And we have to be real. We have to be comfortable enough to say, this is an addiction for me. This is something that I need help. I need help. I can't stop it by myself. And so we're here to help and talk to those individuals and let them know that it's something that they can definitely do. And so we work together. and we work with you. And everything that you come to us about is confidential. Even today, you'll have a chance to ask us all questions. If you don't want to ask out in open, write it on a piece of paper. You have a folder, put it in a bowl, and we're going to read it out loud and answer it, okay? So just feel free. Our first person that we're going to bring up is an old classmate of mine who is just a wonderful person, and her name is Dell Scott.
You know, it's funny because when Kim reached out to me and she said, you know, I would love for you and your husband to come and share, you know, your story and your journey, you know, with this upcoming event. Actually, I'm always humbled. I don't take it lightly when anyone asks for me to come somewhere because they could ask anyone. So I was definitely honored. But then, you know, my next thought was, okay, Lord, what is it that you want me to be able to share? You know, what is it that you want me to leave? What deposit? Because I'm a firm believer that whatever it is that He's placed us here to do, which is our purpose, that it's about giving back. It's about pouring out more than taking. So what is it that you want for us to share today? So naturally, you know, we hear about this agency, Soldiers for Christ, and what they're doing in community. And we all know that right now in our society, it is very politically charged, environmentally, socially, racially. You know, we're just being transparent. All of these things are going on. So with that being said, and especially we just came off an election and everyone was talking about we need to get out there and vote. You have a voice. Your voice needs to be heard. Okay, so on the same note, you know, your voice needs to be heard. You have a purpose.
That's right.
We are all placed here with a particular call for a particular reason. We're not meant to just be here, just wandering aimlessly all over the place. And this is something, you know, my husband and I, Jermaine, we discuss often. So, you know, kind of what we want to leave with you today is, you know, for those who may not know what their purpose is, to find out what is your purpose. A lot of times, especially when we're young, we say, well, what do we want to be when we grow up? We have all these visions of grandeur. We want to become a doctor. We want to become a lawyer, whatever it is. What is it that I'm called to do? Why am I here? And then secondly, how do I do it? There's some of us that we may know what it is that we're here to do, but we don't know how to navigate or find the platform to do it on. So how do we do that? And then lastly, I would probably share to move. You have to have movement. A lot of times we sit back, we become stagnant, and we don't move. We're waiting for something to happen. We're waiting for something to come to us. But I'm a firm believer, and I know my husband can testify to this. I'm an A-type personality. I'll move all day long. Something drops in my spirit. I know that's what I'm meant to do. And I'm a firm believer, if you take 2 steps in the direction that you're called to, everything begins to line up. A lot of times we become frustrated. Okay, I know I'm supposed to do this, but how do I do it? I know I'm supposed to do this, but I don't have the resources to do it. I don't have the money. I don't have the people. I don't have the team. So I tell people it's not for you to wait for people to come to you. You have to move. With every being, you're talking to someone. I was definitely ill in 2016. I was bedridden, down to 112 pounds. Lost my father, it was in October 2015. And I went through the whole pity party phase. Here it is, I'm angry. I'm like, I lost my father. Isn't that suffering enough? I mean, he was my rock. Now here it is, you know, I've lost him. What do I do? And now I'm suffering physically. I was 4 pounds heavier than my son. And my son's sitting here, Jermaine, and he can testify, he waited on me the whole summer. There was days I would walk halfway up the steps, and because I had lack of nourishment from my condition, I was having esophageal issues, I had to sit down halfway going up the steps because I couldn't even walk up the whole steps. So here it is, I'm angry. I went through a whole range of emotions, being angry, feeling sorry for myself, feeling hurt, and then finally I had to get to the point where, you know what? Whatever strength I have today, I'm going to get up and move with every power of my being. If I can only get something done for an hour, then I'm only going to move for an hour. If I can get something done for 5 minutes, I'm only going to move for 5 minutes. And just being determined that I'm not going to be a victim of my circumstances.
Yes.
I'm thankful that I have a spouse that was there for me and that supported me. Because a lot of times we go through stuff, and initially when we don't know what's wrong, sometimes people tend to think it's all in our head. They think that we're imagining it, you know? But I'm thankful, and I had a husband that said, if I could take it from you, I would.
Yes.
And I would carry it. So whether it's your spouse or whether it's a dear friend or partner, when you have somebody there, that support system is so very, very important. So, you know, I have never been a victim of domestic violence or, you know, an addiction or any of those things, but I understand tragedy. I've had to endure traumatic experiences, so I can speak from that standpoint. And I'm thankful that I came to understand what my purpose was at an early time, in an early time in my life, or especially like over the past 10 years. A lot of times we say, well, what am I called to do? I don't know what I'm called to do. And I had a first lady at the time, and she said, well, what would you do for free? And, you know, as a female, I was like, well, I love to shop. I could shop for free all day long. And she said, you ever think maybe your call is to help women? And it kind of just started from there. It wasn't a big deal. So here it is, I started a fashion business.
Wow.
My husband helped me. I'm thankful. He did all the marketing, helped me with the branding, all of those kind of things. Because at that point, we had no money. So it's like, how do you start this with no money? And I know that's a struggle for a lot of people. How do you walk in your purpose? How do you do what you do when you have no resources? But when it's something that you are called to do, things begin to line up as long as you move.
Well, I think each person who has come up today and spoken so far have covered some extremely important key points. And I think some of the biggest points that each one has talked about were that you have to be able to get connected. You have to get connected to something. And the next key point is that you cannot stop because you don't have the resources right now. You have to continue to move forward in anything that you are aspiring to do. In every single one of us, there is a gift given.
Yes.
Whether you asked for it or not, God put something in you. And that gift that's in you is a gift to the rest of the world.
Yes.
It is specifically designed for meeting someone else's needs. And as an entrepreneur myself, by way of being the backbone of my wife's businesses, I know that God gave me the gift of support, but He also gave me the gift of service. And I think service is one of the things that we need today in the community. We need the soldiers for Christ. We need each and every one of you here. You came here for a reason. And I think reason number one is so that you can connect to soldiers for Christ. Because when you leave out of here today, what I'm hoping that you'll do is tell someone what you experienced today.
Yes.
Talk about some of the things that you heard today. But share also that there are outlets and venues available
Yes.
that someone can come to, someone that they can reach out to if they have need of those things that other people don't see, that they are suffering from. I believe that everyone is suffering in silence somehow from something. As married couples, we have each other to support each other, and we see each other's sufferings and we try to buffet them. But if you're out there and you feel like you're alone, you're not. Because you can get connected with a group like Soldiers for Christ, and then they can become a backbone for you. And then they can help you to begin to get out there and exercise your opportunity to help someone else. We are all parts of one great big body. And that body I know as the body of Christ. And as a part of the body of Christ, I'm wonderfully made to do something specific. So I hope today that if you do know what it is that you're designed to do, if you don't know what it is that you're designed to do, just connect. Start making those connections, and I guarantee you, you will get there. And if you're already there, I guarantee you, you'll go further.
But my process started about 5 years ago, December 2013. And the year 2013 for my family, it started off as being the best year ever to being one of the worst. But when you have a child and he does everything he's supposed to do, everything that he's asked to do, you know, it's unfair as a parent to shortchange him of the things that he wants to do. So, you know, my son, he loved to dance. So he said, look, this is the only party I ever want to go to. This is an end of year party. It was at a community center in Newark. And so we was like, all right, DeAndre, you can go to the party. So he went to the party, but before he went to the party, he was like, I'm gonna go to the mall, I'm gonna get my own outfit. He rode the bus for the first time. He checked out the bus routes and took the bus to the mall and went on his own. He came back, ironed his own clothes. He went to the party, so we took that opportunity, my wife and I, to just have a little date night. So we went out for a few hours. And then after we went out, we said, let's go on home so we can meet our son on his way back. So as we were traveling home, we get a phone call, and we hear somebody frantic on the other line, and it was his best friend. And he says, Mom, Dad. Everybody calls us Mom and Dad. We're just community parents, I guess. But he said, Mom, Dad. He was like, what's going on? What's wrong? And he really couldn't get his words together. But he was like, DeAndre's been shot. So you know how you hear something, but it didn't quite register? But me, being who I am, I automatically went straight into survival mode. And I was like, okay, where are you at? What's going on? What do we need to do? So he told us they're getting ready to take him to the hospital. So my wife and I, we went to the hospital, and of course, you know, they weren't able to, we weren't able to see him right away. They were working on him, but they let us stay in a room. So as we're sitting in that room, you know, the doctors came out, and they just had this look on their face. And they told us that we did everything that we could do, 16 years old. So at this point, your heart just drops, and you just don't know what to do at that point. All I know is that I just need to get to my child. So unfortunately, when I left out the room to try to get to my child, they stopped me. And all we could do was look at our son laying on a table through a door, through a little glass. And they said that we could not touch him because it was a murder investigation and they didn't want us to contaminate his body. So he was literally feet away from us, and we couldn't touch him. And that moment there, you feel so helpless as a father. And you know, at that moment, your whole world crashes right in your face. And when you think it couldn't even get no worse, it wasn't until 4 days later that we were able to even see our son until after they turned him over to the coroner's office. When I went through that, your whole life crashes before your eyes.
Yes, it does.
And you lose hope, you lose purpose, and when you no longer have that, you lose that reason to live. And I learned that if you don't have a reason to live, you will find a reason to die.
Come on now.
And when I went through that, with all the hurt and with all the pain, I took my gun,
Come on now.
and I picked it up, put it to my head, and pulled the trigger. When I pulled that trigger, nothing happened. My gun has never misfired. I go to the range at least once a week. The bullet stayed in the chamber. I can only say it's probably the grace of God that gun didn't fall. But when that gun clicked, my whole entire life flashed before my eyes, and I realized that I have a wife, and I have 2 other younger children that really need me in this moment. And it was sort of selfish of me, even in my pain, to rob them because they're going through. And you know, I read the book that Cherish wrote called Shattered But Not Broken. I read it, I must have read it maybe about 4 times. And when I was going through what I was going through in that moment, I thought I was broken because I was living in the crack of my shatteredness.
Yes.
And the only analogy that I have to really explain is that, you know, when you have a cell phone and it falls out of your hand, it never falls on the backside, it never falls on the side, it always falls flat on the face. And that's how I felt. And you pick up the phone, and I mean, it has cracks all over the place. You're like, oh, I gotta get a new phone. But then when you pick it up and you touch that screen and it lights up, you see that you're still able to text. You're still able to make calls. You're still able to go on social media and surf the internet. So it's not broken. It's just shattered. And you know, oftentimes in our life, we live in the broken state, but it's really shattered. And if we sometimes take the time to take a step back and look at our life, we realize that we are shattered and we can make it. That was such a tough time for my family and as a husband. And I knew I had to do what I had to do for my family. But I'm here to really encourage you that there is life after death. And although it's still an unsolved case, we are still continuing to fight every single day. The things I'm doing in my life these days I would have never expected, such as standing here and talking to you. My wife and I have visited every male prison in Delaware at least once. And what we are doing, we're using our platform to be able to try to reach out to these prisoners and talk to them and tell our story, because the last thing we would ever want is for anyone to go through what we went through. And if we can change at least one prisoner and change their hearts and rehabilitate them, that's what our journey is going to be.
If I can save one person's life, if I can remind you that you are somebody, that your life does matter, if we can restore you back, it's all worth it. Back to what God has created you to be. And each one of you are selected to be loved by God. That is what our agency stands for.
But when I think through it now, it occurred to me one day when I was standing in a room with all these other media people, you guys can pray on TV whenever you want, and I can. I can praise my God on TV whenever I want.
Yes.
And I can share the story of other people who are praising God.
Yes.
Okay? So I wanted to just share with you, and if Wayne could just turn this on, I'm going to talk through it. Oh, I forgot my phone. I kind of need that. Just a second. I want to just talk through. That's kind of in the middle. I want to just introduce you to some of the people that have come through. Just some of them, okay? Can we just scroll that up all the way back to the beginning? Oh, it is back here. So I've met people like Ulysses. Ulysses Slaughter witnessed his father murder his mother. He went to his father's home to shoot him. He went to kill him and prayed for a spirit of forgiveness and reconciliation and turned that into his ministry. So he did not kill his father, and years later, he and his father reconciled. Orlando Camp. Orlando Camp was one of 11 children who were the first to attend public schools at desegregation. We wrote a book to share about how difficult it was, and he came to share it with us. This little girl, Titi Monet, sent me an email and said, "My dad helped me self-publish a book. Can I come on your show and talk about it?" Yes, baby, you can. Yes, you can. She wanted to talk about bullying. That's Edward Harrison and his baby McKinley. He started Building Bulls, which is an organization that lets young men come and hear other stories of young men who are struggling, who have been shot, who are addicted to drugs, and how they overcame or how they are still in the process of recovering. That's what Edward does. My sister.
We're gonna get to my story. I'm gonna get from behind the mic so y'all can feel what I'm getting ready to say. And I came up and hugged Wayne, because his name is Wayne, I'm Dwayne, that means I'm the older one. You know what I mean? Like, I love you, Wayne. But my story started, and don't knock me, I'm from Philadelphia. My story started in 1998, sitting on my steps in Philadelphia, North Philadelphia, and I took a stray bullet in my left eye. The bullet went in my left eye and went across my face to the right eye. I spent a month in Temple Hospital. I never lost consciousness, so if I had the time, I could tell you everything that happened, from me getting shot, from me wondering what happened, my eyes closed from the trauma, crawling up the steps, knocking on the door. My mother dragged me in the house with one arm. And the first thing I said to her is, "I think I left my Jeep keys on the steps." And I'm shot and bleeding. They took me to the hospital, and it was one of the moments. You ever watch television where you're in the hospital and you hear the beep, 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 and people running around, and then it just get quiet and you see people moving? That happened to me. And I heard them say, "We have to operate on them or something's going to happen." And then I didn't hear anything. The next thing I felt was a hand squeeze my hand. And even though my eyes was closed, I knew that was my mother saying, "I'm leaving you in his hands." I woke up the next day and couldn't see nothing. Everything looked like a cloud. That's how bad the vision was. My mother had brown on. She was to my left. There was 3 doctors, and they had the white gowns on. So I seen 3 shadows, ghosts, whatever you want to call it. So the doctor says, "I'm Dr. Pointnoy, this is Dr. Lee," and believe it or not, I can't remember the 3rd doctor, but your mother's on your left. She had a brown sweatshirt, so no, not because she's a black woman, but I did see the brown cloud. So, and don't forget, this story, don't look at it as sad. This is like, that's why you see me joking, upbeat, because that's what it's about. So they told me, "You were shot, we have to remove your eye," and they paused. Now I think they were waiting on that, what did it, or cursing or whatever. First what came to my mouth was, okay, what else is wrong with it? So the 3 clouds turned to 1, meaning they was huddled together. You're not hollering, there's something wrong with it. You'll be here for a while, relax, and we'll take through everything. So it was a month in the hospital, got the hospital, and this was when senses, I always said like your spider sense, you know, Spider-Man, and senses kicked in. I couldn't see anything. All I could do was listen. So I would lay in the bed on my back and listen to Bugs Bunny, Fresh Prince, shows like that. I hated Tom and Jerry. Why did I hate Tom and Jerry? They don't talk. You don't know what's going on. You just hear the music. You know, you can't think about it now. Go home, lay on your bed, and just listen to shows. You know, you can like, oh yeah, I remember Will Smith lands like this, and okay, Bugs Bunny, this and that, and Tom and Jerry. Yeah, you might hear walk, walk, walk every so often, but that was it. But there was things I was starting to learn. So slowly my sight came back to where it's at now. So my vision now is 2200. So if Shauna and I was standing side by side, looking at Kim 200 feet away, I would have to walk 20 feet away to see what Shauna sees at 200. But I can still see colors unless it's like maybe a black or a navy blue. So when I put up my suits, I make sure it's a gray or a brown in the middle so I can see everything. After that, someone came doing rehabilitation and taught me how to use the white cane, computer, cooking, so I wouldn't hurt myself. As I was going there, they told me about the sport of rowing. Some of you might know about it, some might not, from the Olympics. And I always watched it when I had vision. So I took up the sport. when I rode the mile, fell in love with it. 9 months after I was out of the hospital, I had my first race and took second place. And I was upset. I spoke to my uncle and he said, you never did it before. You took second place. That's a good thing. That's a real good thing. So I continued to row. And over 30 to 40 races, I took first place in single boats, double boats, 4-man boat, 8-man boats. I was taking first and second place. I was determined not to lose anymore as best as I could. And in 2001, I had trials for the U.S. national team, made the team, went over to Seville, Spain in 2002. We won a bronze medal. So right now, my uniform and bronze medal is in a frame, looks real nice and everything. But from there, I seen a story in Camden, New Jersey, where these 3 boys were missing. And you look at 1998, the camera was always on the scene, moving around. And they were in the lot. And they would see the boys were spotted here, and the camera was there, and the parents was upset. And I'm sitting at home saying, they in their car. And that night, 11 o'clock news, they went back with the lights on their camera, they looking around, and they went to the car finally. And when they popped the trunk, it was 3 bodies. They were playing because they had nothing else to do. So what did I do? I went to Camden and had an idea. I want to start something called Breaking Barriers, because all I knew was rowing, but it offered an opportunity to our youth. So I went over to Camden and I found out, oh, this city hall is so corrupt. I mean, I had to meet a councilman at a cabaret. How you gonna do business at a cabaret? He eating and drinking. And I'm like, yeah, so what I'm trying to do, hey, Billy, come on over, have a drink. And I'm like, I'm trying to do business. So I came back to Philadelphia, had money saved up, and started to put Breaking Barriers into play. So Breaking Barriers is a 501c3 nonprofit organization based on helping our youth with alternatives.
Right.
We have them doing shooting, selling drugs, not in school, obesity, and discipline. Believe it or not, all of those things are characteristics that you will not have in the sport of rowing. It takes care of all those things. And the rowing is, let's take a 4-man boat. There's 4 people in the boat, men or women. Only one person speaks. So everyone has to respect that one person.
Yes.
To get up the river, to win or succeed, everyone has to go in sync with the oars. If the oars are out of sync, their boat will stop. You can't be obese in that boat. You can't be sluggish or sleepy. And you won't be out in the street shooting or selling drugs. If you're working out that hard, you're gonna sleep at night. So if you go online, the NCAA has 91% of your high school and college rowers graduate. There's not a higher percentage in anything that we can think of for our youth, let alone. So that's what Breaking Barriers has been doing for 13 years. I've been doing this for 8 in Philadelphia. I've been in Wilmington for the longest, and right now, I'm in, right behind Catholic Charities, as a matter of fact. But I'm getting ready to go to a bigger project to expand the things we do. Am I nervous about it? No, I'm moving from 3,500 to 18,000 square feet. Because I have a plan. He gave me a plan that can help employ people, help our youth, and do a lot of things, not just for Wilmington, Newcastle, but it can help the state of Delaware.
Yes.
So
yes.
my whole thing is alternatives.
Yes.
Alternatives for our youth. Where instead of thinking I could be a pro football player, basketball, and we all know the statistics are very low for them going there. But if you're rowing and you're getting that education, here's the doctor. I'm a therapist in massage. I'm a personal trainer. I'm a level 2 rowing coach. All of this happened after the accident. I received the award in 2010 from the NCAA for my work with Breaking Barriers. I received a Humanitarian of the Year from the Masons in Philadelphia. I'm not a Mason, but I work with the kids. I have newspaper articles, magazine. I also wrote a book. I'm trying to follow you. No, I wrote mine probably before y'all was born. Anyway, I wrote a book called The Race After the Storm, meaning the race, life in boat racing, but the storm was the shout. But the whole goal is to help the youth move forward. And along the years, what happened is when the parents came in to pick the kids up, they wanted to do the same thing. So it's simple. It's not a sad story. You see my energy, and it's the same thing on television. Like when we're on television, I always show my watch too. Y'all watch that when I show the watch? Anyway, the story is this. Whatever you're going through, And you heard all the different testimonies, all the stories here today. Whatever you're going through, nothing is that bad. You keep in prayer, you keep in faith, and find that person that can help you move to that next space. And if you can't find that person, you be that person. But anyway, thank you so much. If you want to talk to me, I can talk to anyone. And hopefully this has touched you.